Have you ever felt really properly stuck on a goal? Maybe you're trying to learn something new, a skill, or really get your head around a complex idea, but it just feels like you keep hitting the same wall.
Uh-huh.
You're putting the time in, the effort, seems like, but something vital just isn't clicking. Well, what if some ancient wisdom actually laid out a kind of checklist, exactly what might be holding you back?
Hmm.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into, well, a really intriguing set of ancient texts. They're from the Anguttara Nikaya, specifically a series of suttas. These are like profound discourses starting around 11.3.21 and going right through to 11.3.97.
And these aren't just, dusty old scrolls.
Not at all. They offer surprisingly practical insights, I think, for anyone looking for clarity, for progress.
That's exactly right. That's our mission today. These texts, they give us this remarkably practical framework.
Yeah.
And they use a surprisingly down-to-earth analogy to explain why our efforts to get deeper wisdom or clarity sometimes just don't pan out.
Oh.
They pinpoint 11 very specific factors that get in the way of profound understanding. And it's not just for ancient monks, but really for anyone, maybe you listening right now, trying to achieve some kind of mastery or insight.
And what's so fascinating, I find, is how these 11 things, which were first described in a very specific context, they just translate so well into universal principles for personal growth, deep learning, even, professional development.
Right.
It's like a lens you can use to look at almost any challenge, really.
And the core of it all, this wisdom, is built around one central analogy. You see it repeated through these suttas. The Buddha compares an unsuccessful spiritual practitioner, they call him the bhikkhu, a monk.
That'd be cool, right?
He compares that person to a herdsman. But a herdsman who, well, just can't seem to manage his herd, can't get it to grow.
Ah, okay. So the cattle are there, but they're not thriving.
Exactly. They're not flourishing, not producing.
So the parallel is pretty direct then. Just like there are 11 specific reasons a herdsman might fail with his cattle, these texts lay out 11 equivalent factors that stop a person from cultivating, let's say, deep understanding or mastery in whatever they're pursuing.
Precisely.
It's such a relatable image, isn't it? Whether you're, tending a garden, managing a team, or just working on your own learning, you instantly get that picture of things not quite flourishing like they should.
And that's exactly where the universality kicks in. While the original text applies it directly to monks and their pursuit of these profound states of mind,
right,
the underlying principles, they're deeply relevant to anyone trying to master a skill, lead a project, or even just understand themselves a bit better. These aren't just ancient spiritual issues. They are, I think, fundamentally human tendencies, things that can derail progress anywhere.
Okay, so with that really powerful herdsman image in mind, let's really dig into this list. These 11 qualities that, according to these texts, prevent someone from successfully engaging in profound contemplation or, for us, achieving real mastery. We'll unpack each one using the source description and then maybe connect it to how you, listening, might unknowingly bump into these same obstacles in your own journey.
Okay, first on the list is not knowing form. The Pali is narupanyahoti. For the monk, this meant not truly getting how all physical stuff is basically made of the four great elements, earth, water, fire, wind, and how they all depend on each other.
Right, so it's not just ancient physics, is it? It sounds more like a call to understand the fundamental nature of whatever you're working with, its core components.
Exactly.
Like a chef who doesn't really understand heat or acidity, or maybe a programmer who doesn't grasp the basic logic.
That's a great way to put it. Without that foundational sort of elemental understanding, you're building on shaky ground. It's about seeing the raw ingredients and how they really work together.
Okay, makes sense. What's number 2?
Building on that, the texts then point to not skilled in characteristics. That's nak hukusalohoti. This refers to not being able to tell the difference based on actions between what marks someone as foolish versus wise.
So for us today, maybe that's like developing a good sense, an intuition for what actions or ideas really move you towards your goal versus things that just feel productive but aren't.
Precisely. It's about spotting the true signal, the things that genuinely serve your deeper aim amidst all the noise, the appealing distractions, even the busy work that looks good.
Yeah, how often do we do that? Keep busy with stuff that feels like progress but doesn't actually shift the needle on the main thing.
It's very common. Okay, the third obstacle is not removing undesirable thoughts, na asikasita hoti. This is about allowing unwholesome thoughts. The text mentioned things like sensuality, ill will, harmful thoughts, allowing them to just arise, hang around, and not actively letting them go.
Ah, the garden analogy you mentioned earlier, letting weeds just take over.
Exactly like that. If you let the negative thoughts, the unhelpful urges, the constant distractions, if you let them take root and spread,
They crowd everything else out.
they crowd out any space for clarity, for focus, for genuine insight. So it requires this active mental weeding, you could say.
Constant vigilance, almost. Okay, what's next?
Then we have not covering up wounds. Na vankelo paita de tahoti. This is explained as failing to guard your senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and even the mind from the greed and distress that can pop up when you interact with things, sense objects.
So it's like leaving your digital doors and windows wide open, constant pings, endless scrolling, unfiltered news feeds, maybe?
That's a perfect modern take, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just about avoiding obvious trouble. It's about consciously curating your sensory input, your mental input too, protecting your focus, your energy.
Because without that boundary, that conscious filtering, the sheer noise just pulls you off track relentlessly.
Absolutely. Okay, number 5. This one's quite interesting. Not making smoke. Naduvekatahoti.
Not making smoke.
Sounds odd, right? It specifically means not extensively teaching or explaining the Dhamma, the truth, the teachings as you've heard and learned it, to other people.
Huh. You know, as you explain that, it strikes me it's not just about being generous or sharing knowledge. It's like, if you have valuable knowledge but just keep it bottled up, you're not just stopping it from spreading. You're also stopping it from being tested, refined, through the act of trying to explain it.
Precisely. The act of articulation forces clarity.
Yeah, I think we've all felt that. Trying to teach something really cements your own understanding, doesn't it? It's like the ultimate feedback loop.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, 6th point. Not knowing the fords, or sometimes watering places, natata janati. This meant not going to learned monks, the ones who really knew the scriptures and discipline, to ask questions and get clarity when you're unsure.
Okay, that translates pretty clearly. Trying to figure out a complex subject without talking to experts or checking reliable sources.
Exactly. It's trying to reinvent the wheel,
Hmm.
maybe figure everything out from first principles when there's established wisdom available, or simply not knowing who to ask or where the good information is.
It's not just about asking, but knowing where those genuine watering holes of knowledge actually are, the reliable spots.
Well put. 7th is not knowing what is drunk, or perhaps better, relishing, mapatar janati. The text describes this as not feeling any real joy or delight that's connected to the Dhamma, the teachings, and the practice.
Ah, okay. So the insight here, maybe, is that sustainable mastery isn't just grim discipline. It has to involve cultivating some kind of profound joy in the process itself.
I think that's exactly it. If you're learning a skill or pursuing any goal, but you never find genuine satisfaction or engagement in the doing of it, well, your dedication is eventually going to wobble, isn't it?
Yeah, it becomes a slog.
It's about making the journey rewarding in itself, not just fixating on the destination. That sense of relish, as the text puts it, that's what fuels the long haul.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, number 8.
8th, we find not knowing the path, mavi janati. This means not truly understanding the Noble Eightfold Path.
Right. And I guess this isn't just knowing the 8 items on the list,
No, not just reciting them.
but deeply getting its structure, how it works as a practical framework for insight. Seeing it as the actual method for transformation, not just, 8 nice ideas.
Precisely. You can have all the information, all the concepts, but without a clear grasp of the how, the actual operational path, you're not just lost. You're probably spinning your wheels very inefficiently.
Like having a map but not knowing how to read it, as you said earlier. Yeah, okay.
9th obstacle is not skilled in pasturage or grazing ground, na gokaku salahoti. This means not truly understanding the 4 foundations of mindfulness.
This one feels really relevant for anyone into personal development or deep work. It sounds like trying to nourish yourself or your herd of insights, but not knowing where the best food is, where the richest pastures are.
That's the analogy, yes.
Yeah.
You're sort of wandering aimlessly instead of actively seeking out the practices, the environments, the mental habits that truly sustain and accelerate your growth in whatever area you're focused on.
So it's about optimizing where you graze mentally, choosing the right inputs and practices for deep work.
Exactly. Optimizing your grazing ground. Okay, 10th, milking dry or taking without restraint, anavasisa dohi kahoti. This is about monks not knowing moderation when accepting things like robes, food, lodging, medicine from lay supporters, taking too much.
Ah, okay. So in a modern sense, this could be like information overload, just consuming constantly, or maybe over-relying on external help, or even draining energy from others without giving back or replenishing.
All of those fit, I think. It points to a lack of balance, a lack of self-awareness in consumption, taking more than is needed, more than is sustainable, which ultimately leads to depletion for you and maybe for the resources or people supporting you, knowing what's truly enough.
Right, that idea of sufficiency.
Okay, and the last one, number 11.
And finally, the 11th obstacle, not honoring elder monastics. The Pali is a bit longer. Yete bhikkhutera na tire kapujaya pujete hote. It means not treating the senior long-ordained monk seen as fathers and leaders with kindness in body, speech, and mind, both out in the open and privately. So basically disregarding the wisdom and guidance of experienced mentors, elders in the field.
That's the core of it. It's failing to recognize and appreciate those who've walked the path before you, the ones who can offer invaluable perspective and shortcuts, frankly.
It might signal a kind of subtle arrogance, maybe, or just this mistaken idea that you have to figure it all out yourself from scratch.
Which, ironically, prevents real learning
Huh?
and disconnects you from a whole lineage of knowledge and experience.
Okay, so those are the 11. Wow.
And across all these different suttas focusing on this, the message is consistent. A bhikkhu, a practitioner, lacking these 11 qualities is repeatedly described as being unable to successfully dwell in various profound contemplative states. They just can't get there.
And you mentioned the sources list some of these states, things like contemplation of impermanence, suffering, non-self.
That's right. Also contemplation of dissolution, fading away or dispassion, cessation, exhaustion or decay, and relinquishment. Deep stuff. But what's really critical, I think, is that these aren't just abstract philosophical ideas being contemplated. The texts explicitly apply these contemplations to our direct experience. The nose and smells, the tongue and taste, the body and touch, even thoughts and ideas, mind objects.
Ah, okay.
So the huge takeaway is that these 11 seemingly basic failures, not knowing form, not guarding the senses, not honoring elders, etc., they fundamentally undermine all the deeper stuff, all forms of insight and practice.
It's foundational.
Absolutely foundational. And if they're shaky or missing, then genuine, deep understanding just remains out of reach.
So what does this really boil down to for you, listening? It feels like a powerful suggestion that mastering some fundamental skills, cultivating certain basic attitudes, they're absolute prerequisites, non-negotiable almost,
I think so.
for any kind of deep learning or profound experience, whether you're trying to grasp quantum physics or master the violin or just cultivate more self-awareness. These aren't just nice to have.
They seem essential, according to this framework.
Yeah.
And what's useful is that these ancient texts, they basically give us this powerful, actionable checklist. If you find yourself striving, pushing for deeper understanding, for that breakthrough moment in any area of your life, really, these 11 factors offer a kind of diagnostic tool. You can look at them and ask yourself, where might I be not knowing form because I skipped the fundamentals? Or where am I not removing undesirable thoughts because I let distractions run wild?
Right. Identifying that specific sticking point.
Exactly. That could be the precise key you need to unlock your potential for real, genuine, lasting insight.
Okay, so here's something to maybe mull over as you go about your day. Consider this. What herds are you trying to manage right now, trying to make flourish in your life? Could be a project at work, a personal habit you're trying to build, maybe a new skill you're tackling, or even just, managing your own mind, your own thoughts and feelings. Which of these 11 factors, just maybe, might be subtly but powerfully holding you back from helping that herd truly thrive?
It's a great question to sit with.